Hello, hello, hello. Here we are. Welcome to Behind the Veil. Yay. I'm here now with my at my regular spot. Thank y'all so much. I'm Stephen Williams. They call me the good bishop. Ain't nobody good like our God. It's going to be a fun night tonight. I appreciate you. I got a special guest with me tonight, the bishop. Juan Timmons, but we're going to talk all things leadership. Don't leave. There's some great stuff that's happening for us. Listen, it is so much going on this week, and there's so much going on around us. I do not have opportunity to talk all the stuff that's happening out in the world because there's still some stuff, but it's funny. I don't know. I was trying to check the news today, but it's amazing how they done took the war out the front page of the news. I don't think they talking about that anymore. We have to just be careful. Now we on to vote and all that good stuff. But listen, so this week, join me Saturday. I want to tell you, I want you to join me Saturday. I'm going to throw this up. There's a concert going on, music event celebrating the King of Kings. The good bishop is going to be there at Book of Mitchell, Nelson Roberts, Saturday, November 18th at 6 p.m. It's going to happen at Ambassador Cathedral, 1500 Harriet Tubman Drive, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Apostle Edwin Allen is the host pastor. You can contact the good bishop if you want some more information. But bring a canned good and then bring some paper good so that we can be a blessing, not only with the canned goods, but also to the people of God. I put that right over my face. We asking everybody to come on in. First of all, like and share tonight. Like and share this. It's really going to be a lot of fun. So I'm getting ready to play snippets of some things that's getting ready to come, that's going to be happening at the concert. And so I want you all to be able to listen and hear and enjoy this. But here, like we can ready to go through a few of them. This is what you gonna get on. If I can plug it in, you'll be able to hear it, and everybody will be able to hear it other than me. Hallelujah. And so we'll be able to do that, I think. Let me see. It ain't doing what I told it to do. Come on in with yourself. You ain't coming in. Ain't nothing coming in and ain't nothing coming through. It's got a spirit on it. And so let me get the spirit off of it because I got power with God. I got power with the Holy Ghost. And so here's one of the tunes that's coming through. I think, honey, it looks like it ain't doing what it's supposed to do. There it is. I got power. I told y'all I had power. Here it is. Come on. Let's have a little Cannon. Right, come on. Come on, put your hands together. Come on. Here we go. I decided. This is one of them. I'm doing it live. You're going to be blessed by it. Marcella, come to the concert Saturday. You ain't doing nothing in Rockingham. Listen, it's going down. Y'all ready? That one's being done. Guess what else is being done? Yes, sir. He heard my cry. Christina Peace Stewart is on here. We doing this one too. Come on out so you can see it live and in color. I won't be singing like that. You might want to come and check us out Saturday. It's going to be fun. 6 o'clock at Ambassador. Guess what else we doing? Boy, that's a hot track right there. But Timmons, this the one you ain't ready for. Let's get it. That's old school right there. It'll make even that Catholic in you clap. Wait, here's something else that's coming. Y'all don't know this. Y'all don't know nothing about this one. But Timmons, you gonna love this one. This is the worshiper in you. Yes, sir. I'm going to let y'all see here the beginning of it. You got to come to this one just to see this one and let this minister to you. Timmons, this is going to replace Grace.
You wouldn't let go of my hand. Oh, ooh, you wouldn't let go of my hand, and I'm grateful. Yeah, you.
Timmons, you gonna love it.
You wouldn't let go.
He wouldn't let go
of my hand.
No matter where I was, God was there.
Oh, you.
God held on to you. He wouldn't let go.
You wouldn't let go.
Even when you let him go.
Of my hand.
And I'm grateful.
And I'm grateful.
Yes, sir. Y'all got it. Come.
I was in darkness.
I can't give you no more. And we gonna do this one right here. You gonna love it. Y'all know it. It's one of your favorites. Come on out. Yeah. Yeah. Come on out. It's happening. It's going down Saturday at 6 o'clock at Ambassador Cathedral.
Yeah.
Come on out. I'm doing that one too.
I wanna be.
Yes, sir. I'm doing them all. It's gonna be so much fun. Y'all know this one.
Every way you made.
Come see the bishop I'm in full.
Every door that you brought me through.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be fun.
Every time you delivered me.
We doing them all. This is Saturday at 6 o'clock. That's the old version right there, Timmons.
I said, oh,
that's the version right there. we going to get the old one.
City upon you.
Anybody want to be a city?
Oh,
listen, the good bishop will be out there.
Oh,
yes, sir.
I want to be.
The good bishop is going to be out there on Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. at Ambassador Cathedral in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Myself, the good bishop, the book of Mitchell, Nelson Roberts, Saturday, November 18th at 6 o'clock p.m. at Ambassador Cathedral, 1500 Harriet Tubman Drive. Y'all please come out and share. Bring a canned good and then bring some flat paper. Hallelujah. We got to take up some offering and we want to be a blessing. I need about 300 people to pop up in the place. And we need to raise a whole bunch of money so we can do it. Thanksgiving is next weekend. And so we're throwing this. We're trying to make this an annual event where we're going to do this Saturday before Thanksgiving so that we can be a blessing. All right. And so tonight, yes, Tawana, that's the song. But I promise you, never let go. He wouldn't let go, and I'm grateful. Oh my God. Oh Lord Jesus. It's on and it's popping. And so please come out and share. I'll be there. Again, thank y'all so much. I'm Stephen Williams. They call me the good bishop. Nobody's good like our God. Welcome to Behind the Veil. Here we are tonight. Ouch, hurt my shoulder. Here we are tonight. I have a special guest tonight, and we had this promo on, and we were bringing on the promo and all of that good stuff. I can't think of anything else I'm supposed to announce. But join me next week. I'll be on next week, the week of Thanksgiving. And so we're going to be thankful. Hopefully we can get Cannon on and we can talk about all the stuff that's happening in the world and then give thanks and see what he's eating. Greens, tomatoes, potatoes, all that stuff. Mashed, whatever it is that Shirley had. Cannon, get yourself ready and be home this time so we can pull him in and see what him and his wife are cooking so we can talk about all the stuff they used to eat in Rockingham, pig's feet, chicken legs, all that stuff, hog maws and all that stuff that they have down there in Rockingham. But listen, I have a special guest tonight, He hails from, I don't know where he come from. I don't know, you from High Point. Where you from? He from High Point? Y'all, he from High Point, but he had like he from um Michigan or somewhere, New York. Yeah, like he's, and then he has a uh out of the country name, uh San Juan Chevalier. Is it Chevalier? Am I saying that right? Lord Jesus, he got so many names. His mama, Lord, was watching a movie. San Juan, she was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. But he is our guest tonight, and we're going to be talking all things leadership. And I want you to just put your hat on, because leadership is not just about what you think it is when it comes to church. And that's what we're going to talk about. So welcome to the stage. Let me unmute him. Welcome to the stage himself, the Right Reverend. Oh, let me make us side by side so you can be just as
There
big as
you go. Yes, I want to be the size you are,
you
the size
listen
of a
to
good bishop.
the good bishop. Welcome, everybody. San Juan C. Timmons, the man with the prettiest smile this side of heaven. I don't know how much he paid for his teeth, but how much ever he paid for them, I need that same thing, because that joke got
Just $2.99. Just $2.99. Crest.
Welcome to Behind the Veil. It is going to be a fun night tonight, but we want to talk all things leadership. And I want to, and I didn't even do this, but I should have put it up as a thing, but I want to show y'all he has a book, The Guiding Principles of Leadership, introducing the the 8 C's of leadership. It is by San Juan C. Timmons, Practical Guide for Developing Great Leaders. Now,
Yes.
because what he and I were talking about when we start talking about leadership, and I'm going to let him really talk. His book is out. It is a powerful book. It is an excellent read on leadership, and it is a thorough book about leadership. Thank you, Lamille. Thank you. This- it is. I make myself laugh. It is. It is such a good thing. But I want to talk to you all. I want him first, not to brag, but I want him first to talk about the credentials, all of the degrees that he has. And this is going to preface this, because this is not a sidewinder or a little side by side person who went to church and now he's starting to do leadership. No, this is somebody who's credentialed in this area, and he is well versed. And so, can you talk to us a little bit about that first to the audience, and then we'll get to the book?
I can. I have some credentials that kind of validate this, but I also want to preface it with saying, even though I have credentials and degrees, the biggest piece I've learned is through experience and practice and putting these things together. So I did learn some principles and learn some good information in my education. But first off, I have an associate's degree in emergency medical science, which was my first career as a paramedic. Um, and then I have a bachelor's degree in church ministry. And then, where I became a wolf packer, I have a bachelor's degree in leadership in the public sector. And then recently completed a master's degree in business management and leadership. So that's the education credentials to go behind this, but it's really putting that and the practice of leadership and leadership positions, because I started out early in leadership. In high school, I got a job at Hardee's. My mother didn't play that. You couldn't sit around. So at 14, I was working at Hardee's, and then I was promoted to supervisor, and then uh, assistant manager, manager, all that good stuff. And so I started out in leadership then, and it just seemed like every position I had in the jobs along the way, I ended up in some kind of leadership role, not trying to be a leader, just doing what I knew how to do and what came natural to me. And those situations presented themselves, so I took advantage of it the best that I can.
Yeah, and so what made you, let's go right off the jump, because I know a little bit about it, but the audience doesn't. And so what made you want to write this book?
So initially, when I came up with the C's, it started out, it says introducing the 8 C's of leadership. I started out with 7 C's, and I did not set out writing a book initially. I through my associate pastor at the church, Pastor Sadie Blue. She's connected in the community and connected with our city. She had my name kind of entered in a situation where they were looking to train some leaders for the city and for the community. And so I had the opportunity to go in and speak to some community leaders and train them about an hour and a half in leadership. And I used that hour and a half to develop 7 C's of leadership. And I gave a PowerPoint presentation, some activities to go along with it to help train and build leadership. And then I put that on the shelf for about 2 or 3 years. And I do a lot of leadership training. We do a lot at True Salvation with the different leaders and leadership development. One day I was looking back through that and said, hey, I'm going to train our leaders in this. And I taught some of our leadership that. And then I just looked at it and I was like, what else can I do with this, as I was working on trying to make the presentation better? And I heard the Lord say, that's a book. And, I was like, who are you talking to? But from that point on, I literally just took those 7 C's and just began to write on each one of those. And then I found one missing. As I was writing, I said, but this is not complete. And so I added the 8 C and just kept on writing. And the real catalyst behind it is giving leaders, new leaders, experienced leaders, information that can still help along the way. Some of the things that would have helped me had I known up front, you
Right.
know, even in church, but I wanted to just present information in a very plain and practical way. Having education, formal education in leadership, I got a lot of education that was not practical. It did
Right.
not make sense. Even one of my professors, we had a disagreement because he had us studying something and a leadership principle, and I wrote a paper against it, and he did not. That didn't go over too well. No, this is what you should be writing on. I said, but it doesn't work. I said, what have you led? Have you tried to put something like that into practice? And it made him think. And after we had a conversation, he changed my grade because what I said made sense. Because evidently, it's not that I'm such a great leader, but I had a little more experience than he did at actually leading. He had academic experience. I had academia and practical experience at the same time. And that's what I wanted to be in this book. I didn't want it to be on theory. I didn't want it to be on all these things about research. Oh, how can you read this chapter and put it into practice? That was my goal. That's what I intended to do. So, and I'm getting good feedback as I've accomplished quite a bit of that with this book.
Yeah, and y'all, he is doing good. And so I see my sister popped on because I really wanted her to be on because one of the things that we talk about when I was growing up, okay, um, and she asked this all the time because my next question is going to be, what is leadership? And I know we're going to go on our 3 things, but let's talk about that because people always, even to this day, gravitates to her. She's always been the one, the voice
Yes.
that I mean, always people ask her opinion, people gravitate to her. If a fight is gonna break out, they're gonna ask her to make sure she at the fight. And is it do people? Because I think she's a leader, right?
Yes.
And because you talk about something about positions of leaders,
Yes.
But let's talk characteristics. Because I think she, yeah, Cannon, she does have that oil, but people still just go to her. Even when she didn't have oil, man, people would just gravitate to her in that sense of your voice counts. There's something about you that makes sense, or I just gotta have your opinion.
Well, well, and you termed it as before she had the oil, but the thing is, she had it.
Right,
It might not have been recognized,
right, right.
at that point, because people gravitate toward that because who you are is going to show.
Yep.
And so and I even address that in the book to where people gravitate toward leadership. And
Yes.
sometimes you'll find yourself leading without the intention of leading. And that's what happened to me. I didn't step out and say, y'all follow me. I didn't step out and say, I want to be in charge. Somehow I rose into these situations. I haven't gone into anything with a big head and say, I'm the one in charge. I get to run this. I get to run that. Because actually, a sign of leadership, one sign of leadership is being that quiet person. I don't need the notoriety. I need access. You give me access, and I'll become the best me, and the leader will come out of me. And that's the same thing with your sister. I know many people gravitate. That's it's almost as far as her. I can see people just saying, "Speak to me, oh wise one." You know, direct my path.
Wait a minute, because that's something else that's what I'm gonna tell her when I talk to her tomorrow. Oh wise one that thou art. Oh wise one, speak to me, provide me information and direction.
Oh boy.
Because that is, yeah, that is the case. So if you have a purpose or stand on what you believe, people will follow you. Yeah, but sometimes people, yeah, I agree with you, Cannon. But sometimes people just, there is something innate within a
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Yeah, because Cannon played football. There had to be somebody that gravitated, that you all gravitated to on the football field, that says, you know what, that's the leader. And for whatever reason, that person became the leader. And some people who are occupying the position of leadership can't handle the pressure of leadership. But it's just so back to to the teacher. Oh, wise one. So, what is this thing about leadership? What is leadership? Because he and I have talked, and I wanted to let you all know it's more than, to me, it was more than leading an organization. It is a husband. It is a husband and a wife that's leading a family. It is um, uh, leading on the football field. It is leading in the boardroom. It is leading at the church house, whether you are up front or behind. That whole notion of leadership, and I don't think people feel like they are leaders. I don't think they do. But tell us kind of how you stand on that, what you think.
So, if the definition of leadership depends on who you ask, but they all go around one category. Of course, one of the great leadership coaches of our time is John C. Maxwell, and he defines it in one word. And I speak to that and reference something that he said, but he defines it as influence. Leadership is having influence over others. And so when you look at it that way, we all have some aspect of leadership in us. It's how we handle that influence that makes the difference. But you'll see, I define it for the case of this book is the action of guiding others to a place which they would not naturally go on their own. When you guide others to a place they won't go on their own. And that's why it fits family. That's why it
Yeah.
fits work. That's why it fits clubs, and it even fits your own life, because a true leader has to tell yourself you might be gravitating this way because this is natural for you, but because I'm leading myself, we're going this way. I
Listen to
want to go there. My
listen,
family went there, but I'm a leader, so I'm going there. So in order to lead, you have to defy sometimes what's natural for others.
listen to this nut talking about that's how I got my wife is from the football field, which means your wife is
That's
gonna
all right.
get you. Yeah. The ability to lead others to a place
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
not
would
just the
not,
ability. It's
not
the
ability,
action.
the
Action.
action to
Leadership is an
lead.
action word.
Leadership is action, and it is
Yes.
the action to lead others to a place that they
Uh-huh.
would not normally get
Go on their own.
or go
That they
on
would
their
not
own.
naturally go on their own.
So
Because
some,
there's a lot of places that people want to go,
yes,
but they won't unless they have a guide.
that
There's
is
some
true.
things that I want to do in certain areas of my life, but without a guide, I'm not going to step out and do it. Some people on that listening tonight, they want to open a business, but they're
Right.
afraid to take the leap. But if they have somebody that comes alongside them and take the right position in their life, they will follow them into that business. And so
Yeah.
that's why leadership is the action of guiding. That's why I named this book that, guiding. It's not me taking you to a place. I can't take you anywhere, but I can guide you. I
Yeah.
can go and influence you to follow me. And so we have to remember that leadership is action, because we have people in leadership positions that have no action.
He talking about really, Bishop. Something I was doing attracted her. She started carrying my equipment after the game, and years later we came together as one. I got you, Cannon. So you had something in you. Uh, she thought you played good, so she probably thought you was going to the pros, and she was gonna get that check. But no, no, it was something in you. I will give it to you. That a person would naturally not go on their own. It's an action that you're leading them to be able to do that. Do you think most people, Bishop Timmons, do you think most people know that they are leaders? Or is it something you have to really be trained to do?
I don't necessarily think it. Well, for some, they everybody needs some leadership training. I'm not gonna say for some. Everyone needs some training, because even being born to lead,
Yeah,
that leadership needs to be developed in you. And that's why, I have the saying here, a practical guide for developing great leaders, because some people already have the leadership ability, but they need to grow in that. And
yeah,
that's what I like to do in by writing this book, is cultivate the leadership that they have. And then for those that may not have it, they can still, even if they're not that born leader, people can be taught the basics of leadership. Some people are not going to be good at it or great at it, but at least it can be developed. And when they're put in those certain positions, they have something to pull from. I like the toolbox concept, is giving you the tools, and you don't need a hammer all the time, but you need to be able to carry one in your box, so that when you do need it, you can pull it out. When you do need to exercise a different type of communication, or you need to exercise another one of these C's, you can't use what's not in your toolbox. And so that's the kind of purpose in that, and helping people to develop that inside of themselves, because some people think they are leaders.
and
And
not.
I'm not gonna say they're not leaders. I'm gonna say they're not good ones.
Well, now
And
I'm gonna say they're not good leaders, and I'm gonna say
yes,
they ain't leading you nowhere but down the wrong road. So, well, wait a minute. I guess they are effective leaders if they can lead you down the wrong
right.
road. They taking you
No,
somewhere.
see, remember. No, the definition
Is
is
an
the
action.
action of guiding.
So they just guiding what's in you
Uh-huh. See,
to
some
go
people
down.
have the ability to go, but they don't have the ability to lead, to guide. I mean, have you ever been positioned for somebody to train you or work with you that's really sorry at doing it, but they're great at doing the job themselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's what we end up with a lot because they'll put people in leadership positions. This happens all the time. It's happened where I work. I'm thinking one of my coworkers is on here tonight. One of my supervisors is on here tonight. But you know, that happens where I work. It happens in church. It happens in all through life that people get put in positions to lead and they don't have the capability. And sometimes the only thing they need is just some training. They need some coaching. Where did I go wrong? Well, check it out. You can find it in the pages of this book.
Yeah, and that is a good point because I think we elevate people and we celebrate people because they can do the job, right?
Yes.
Because they're really good at doing whatever that is, and we're not limiting this. Y'all know me behind the veil. We're you know we kingdom minded, but this principle works just completely in and out of the church world. This is a principle. If I'm selling the book, I'm selling the book across the boundaries.
Yes.
There's no limitation to this. Just because
Yes.
we have the titles of the church, both of us are bivocational. So we work not only in the church world, but we also work in what we call in the secular world. And but people are placed in positions, but not, and they can do the job. They just can't help others. They can't
Right.
take the guide. Now, how do you feel about people who are in those leadership positions but are stingy, if you will, about pushing somebody else into their place of leadership? Because we know,
Okay. Well, yeah, yeah. Let me deal with that because one, I believe if you are stingy, like you said, and afraid is what it comes down to. You're
that's what it
afraid
is.
of developing someone else. You're not a leader. You're a manager. You're managing that position and you're protecting your toys.
Say it
And so
again. Wait,
and
say
so
all
you
that
you you
again.
call yourself a leader, but you're just a manager if you're afraid for somebody to take your position because a real leader wants to develop leaders around them so that they can move to their next place. Because leaders don't, I'm not looking to protect my position because if somebody is developed enough and qualified to take my position, I've led them well
Yeah,
and then I have another place to go. You know, one thing I want to say about the book is, you know, Bishop is not in this book. Okay. This is a book that's written for leadership across the board. It works in church, it works in homes. I wrote this, and you can see when you read the book, I wrote it from for the soccer coach to a Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 business CEO to be able to use these resources. Now there's some Christian principles in there, but I'm not beating you over the head with Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Hopefully you'll get it right with him. But whether you're a leader in the church, whether you believe in the Lord or not, this will help develop your leadership skills. And that's what this is so much about, is for people to be able to grow in how they lead people and the way they lead people.
yeah,
And so it's important to develop people, and that's in here, you know, as far as developing people. But it also goes back to those positions. One of the first things I do is talk about in that first chapter is the positions of leadership and how to place yourself in the right position depending on the environment and the timing of your organization. And I go through three different positions and go into detail on when you should be in that position and
right.
how you place yourself in that position. Because everybody or many people think that leadership means being out front.
That's right. But
No,
that's not true.
no. And look, you know, and it's not just Bible, but you know, people that shepherds don't always lead from the front. You'll find them in the middle of the flock sometimes because
Yep,
the leaders wherever they need to be. But there's too many leaders that always want to be out front.
yep.
I'm
That
in
is true.
charge. I'm the leader. I'm the leader. Well, that tells me you're not. When you have to say you're the leader, if you should be able to ask, somebody should be able to ask your group who's the leader, and everybody just points to you whether they know your name or not. because I've been in those situations where I was following someone else, didn't know who was necessarily in charge, but I know who seemed to be in charge.
Right. And you're going to find that. And these are some of the things that we're talking about in this book, because I go back. So every time he says something, and then we say, oh, this is for this is for it's beyond the church. I just go back. If my sister is still on, I go back to my mother. Okay. So my mother didn't understand she was really a leader. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, she really at home, especially, and I don't know if you get into this in the book with gender, but that was a gender was a problem for my mom,
Right.
right? So especially in the organization that she was in, they did not want to celebrate that kind of leadership, female leadership.
Yes.
But um, I'm laughing right now because I can see her replacing herself in prayer. Like she wanted other prayer warriors to pray. Uh, she wanted other people to preach. Like she would like, no, you're gonna do this. No, you're going to do that. And it was amazing how she would try to guide people to uh, their leadership role. And now that when you said it like that, I went back and I'm looking at her making people come to be the next prayer warrior. You need to be the next prophet. And she was guiding them, training them, and teaching them how to do that. And ultimately, she was trying to replace herself, but I'm not sure. I'm, some of them got it, and some of them didn't. But it's that whole fact of you don't even know. And she led really from the back. He has like three of them things, front, side, and back. Y'all got to read this book. It's really good because some of you are leaders where you are. Let me get it right. Let me get position. There, right there. Oh, that's it right there. Looks good right there in the light.
And by the way, even as we're talking, I think there's a link in the chat where you can actually go to Amazon and purchase the book.
All right.
So
Sometimes a person
yes,
who is in leadership is not necessarily. That is true. That is true.
yeah, and that's very often because, like I said, most of the time you look out front to see who's leader, but that's not where leadership is always successful. Sometimes the leader needs to be in the midst of the team. Sometimes they need to be behind the team,
Yeah.
and you'll understand that concept when you see how it's positioned in the book. And by the time you finish chapter one, you'll be nodding your head. That is absolutely right. I understand. And then, so one thing about the book in several of the chapters, I didn't want to just write and just spew information at you. But at the end of chapters, I asked some things. Even at the before end of chapter one, we're talking about leadership, and chapter two is actually where the positions are. I'm giving you an opportunity to take inventory of your position, or where should you be, or how should you be, according to what you learn throughout these chapters. So it's not just spewing information. My goal is that this is practical, that you actually put it into place, because we get a lot of leadership information but we never really simplify it and digest it. But when we digest it, we can put it into practice, and then you'll realize what Sadie Blue said on here. Sometimes the person in leadership position is not a leader and not the leader.
Right. And this is something Ron says. And so here's something. What do you do when you are being led by because I love how you say that, a manager versus a leader. And I think some
Yes.
people need to understand that although you may are, and here's a question to the audience. Are you a manager or are you a leader? And I think once you know the difference, are you y'all need to get this book.
Yes. I spend a lot of time in there. I spend a lot of time discussing manager versus leader. And one thing I try to highlight is one is not better than the other.
Right.
Being a manager is only bad if you think you're a leader and you're in the leadership position. Managers need leaders, but leaders also need managers. And it's important to know what your position and what your timing calls for. I
That's
make a
good.
statement in the book. I think I put it on a placard in the book as best as it would allow, because they made me take some of the illustrations out before they published it just because of the formatting of the book. But I make the statement about the difference and the need. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to get the book. You want to know it, but it's a profound statement on managers and leaders and how they have to be able to work together, because one without the other. I put it like this: a leader without a manager is a mess, and a manager without a leader is a mess.
It can be a mess.
But for an organization to be successful, to have progress, you have to have both.
And you have to identify, to those of you who are on here, you have to identify which one you are. Blue says something, I'm both. It depends on the platform.
Yes.
It depends on where you are. And you have to know
What's needed.
What's needed and where you are, where you fit.
Yes. And I'll tell you this, I'm not a manager. I do not like managing. I've had management positions that I had to sit in, but and for those that are really strong in leadership, I guess I'm strong in leadership, or either I just hate management because I just hate it. But I'm not a manager because management frustrates me, because managers manage processes.
Got you.
Okay.
I was going to say, let's talk about
Leaders
what the
create
difference.
progress, and managers manage a process. And leaders get frustrated managing because they're like, we can change this, we can make this better, we can go off and do something different, but my job is to just manage this.
Yeah. And back to you, Cannon. Maybe they hired him not to lead. Maybe they hired him to manage.
So once again, Cannon has got to get this book, because in there I speak also about the boundaries of your leadership position. And one thing you have to do as a leader is to determine what boundaries, what are the limits that you have to operate in? What are the boundaries that you're supposed to operate in? Because sometimes you have this much latitude, sometimes you have this much. Regardless how much you have, you can lead. You just have to figure out how to lead with the latitude in which you've been given.
Right.
I'm a risk taker. And I've talked about this recently. I've had jobs, and I've had jobs that put me in a box and say, okay, you do this. And I went beyond that, and I went out of the box after they told me I couldn't. And I literally said, now I went out of the box. This is what I've developed. You can fire me or you can go with what I did. And that's literally what I said. And I got an award for innovation because I broke the rules. But you got to know the boundaries, and then you got to be willing to take whatever consequences there are. So because I'm a leader, then I'm going to lead no matter what. And if it gets to the point to where I can't, I quit. And that's what I did on the job.
Yeah. So Cannon makes an interesting point. He says he's afraid of the workers. I don't think leaders, real leaders, function in fear.
Right. Well, we can talk about, the bad leaders all day long. And believe it or not, you still keep hitting on everything that's in there, because
Yep.
I speak about that in the book, with the fear, a leader operating in fear. If you're gonna operate in fear, just sit down, go let somebody else lead. Get behind somebody else, because you, sir, you, ma'am, are not a leader. Okay. And we're going to have that all the time on our jobs. You have people that are afraid of the workers, that are afraid of the bosses that are over them, that are afraid to succeed, that are afraid to fail. But if you're a leader, you got to move on. Now, here's the thing. Cannon can actually lead with a bad leader in charge.
Yes. Yes.
You can lead around them, you can lead above them, you can lead below them, because remember, it's not about the position of leadership. It's about the position of the leader. And the leader is not always the one with the title, is not always the one with the money, but it's the one that has the influence and the ability to take the actions necessary to guide people from one place to another. Because that's what leadership is. And leadership, let me address this too. Leadership deals with taking risk. If you're not willing to take risk, you're not ready to lead. If you're afraid to fail, nobody wants to fail. But
Yeah.
if you're afraid to fail, you can't lead, because you're never going to try something that hasn't been tried. You're never going to do something that hasn't been done.
Yeah. And I find myself I think I find myself in both roles to some degree. I'm not as frustrated with you about managing. I like processes. I like to see them. I like to create the process, and then I like to see how the process is working. But I do have a tendency to be like, hey, I see it. I'm gonna give you this. I'm guiding you so that you will have the stuff that I have, and I'm not afraid to allow people to
Yes.
do that. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
people.
So you like a part of managing,
Yeah, yeah,
and
just a
yeah,
part of it.
because I know you, because you're not about managing, because you just described a leader in yourself. You said, I create processes,
Yeah,
and then I like for them to work. I create processes, and then I move on.
you move on. Yeah,
I
you
check with
do.
the manager to make sure the process is working,
It's working.
but then I move on. I didn't create the process to continue to work the process. I created that because I know that works. Now
Right.
I'm on the next step of leading.
Yeah, and I like to see it and say, "Did y'all do that?" I like to look back and say, "This is that process." Yeah, yeah. So
Look at it like this. To put it very simple, a manager has one restaurant. A
yes,
leader has a chain
that's right.
that's run by managers.
Yep. And I think a lot of people need to know the difference. So we kind of talked a little bit about positioning, y'all. We got a theme. We did
No,
talk
we
about
don't. No, we don't.
it. Dominique said something. When I removed fear and the what ifs, I made more money in business. That's good. Because you're
Yes.
gonna have to remove the fear. And that is not only is it a business principle, but it's also a kingdom principle that we are made up of. You can't
Yes.
function in fear. Like, you really have to do this in faith. Like, you really have and believe and see the vision and work the vision and stop dealing with the what ifs. Just go for it. Um, that there is some truth to that. Just go for it. So we had talked about positioning. I think you kind of covered that, maybe possibly.
Yes. Yeah, I think we covered position.
Um, but the next thing you talk about, because we got three things, is communication. There's a big.
Oh,
This is a big one. When we start talking about communication and how to do that, this is a crucial to me. Just like I think. Now I'm not gonna change this podcast. All right, I'm not. But I'm working on a book, y'all, and
another
it's
book.
another book, and it's dealing with this concept of marriage. And while I'm dealing with or relationships, it's not marriage, but I share with people, and people fight me on this. Bishop Timmons may fight me on this because we tell people God is the that's the center, and I said no, no, communication and clear communication should be your center and your foundation when it comes to relationships, because it won't matter how much God you have if you can't communicate what you see, what you're saying, how you are feeling. It won't matter how many shandos you have If you can't talk to each other, I don't care how much God the individuals have, you will not last in a relationship without clear communication. Then I put intimacy, and then I wrap that with God, because you can have God, no intimacy, you ain't gonna have no marriage. I don't care who you are. You can have God and no communication, and you no clear communication, and you ain't gonna have no marriage. And so to me, it's the same thing in leadership. I don't care what you are. If you can't communicate, oh my God, you cannot get the vision out. I'm taking over the thing. Let me listen to.
No, you're talking good.
Let me listen to the pro when it comes to this
Yeah,
leadership, because
yeah,
I didn't.
yeah. I'll talk leadership because you preaching, you know. So
I'm preaching. Wait a
yeah.
minute. Let me do it again. Let me do it again.
So we know that communication is important biblically and naturally. We know it is biblically because in chapter 1 of Genesis, God said that's communication.
That's communication.
You know, he started off his existence as far as we know as communication. And I
Wait a
teach
minute.
this principle for
Hold on. What's
uh
your weak spot, Dominique? When you
communication.
he
He said
says
communication is his weak
communication
spot.
is his weak spot. Okay, let's talk
Yes.
about it.
Yes. And you know, and that's a lot of people's weak spot because a lot of times we think we're communicating and we're not.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of key concerns in communication. There's a lot of things that we have to do to adequately communicate. And you kept saying clear. I use an acronym CLEAR. You have to have clear communication. You
I
want to know
see
what the
blue.
acronym?
Blue
Yeah,
is
you want to know what
already
the
on
acronym?
it.
Yeah, she's already on it. You want to know what it means? Get the book.
Let's talk.
But but you have to have clear communication, and it
Wait a
has to
minute.
do with the language that you use.
Listen, I can see this in this right here, though. Y'all ready?
Uh-huh.
With clear, EAR is in here. It
Oh
got to
yeah,
be
that's good. That's good. Hey, that hooked on phonics has worked for you,
that
sir.
hooked on. I'm hooked on phonics. That EAR is in
Yes, you
clear.
got it. You got to have an ear. Look, that'll be in my next leadership book. I'm going to take it, and I'm probably not going to give you credit. But but communication is so important, and not just communicate, but clear. So many times we don't recognize clear. I give an example here in the book. Actually, one time when I was working at the restaurant, and they came in and gave a whole, regional managers and things came in, gave a whole bunch of information, and people left lost because they were like the P&L of this, and we're in the black and we're red and all of that, and people were just lost because that's not their everyday world. The bottom line is we have to refrain from using jargon when we have people that don't understand our jargon of our profession.
Yeah,
Understand that you want to speak simple enough to where the least knowledgeable person will be able to understand you, but yet the most knowledgeable person won't be confused by it. And that is so important for communication. And I put a principle in here that deals with communication stations, to where I call them communication stations. We all have them, but a leader needs to know what their communication stations are. What's the best time, the best opportunity to email, or when should I talk face to face? When should I have a phone call? When should I have text? Our society today has communication overload and is still ineffective
yes.
because we're texting when we should be talking. We're emailing when we should be texting, and we're remote when we should be face to face. A lot of
How
things
do
can be lost in communication.
how do we know the difference? And can we find that in this book?
You can find that in the book, is recognizing the difference on when you should do that. And sometimes a poster will do. Communication, and in the communication chapter, I deal with meetings, and how to have a meeting and how to have effective meetings. And I'm sure everybody on here has probably been in meetings that you leave, and this is a word that I use often. I'm sorry if you're offended, but it's stupid. It was a stupid meeting because the communication was not what it was supposed to be. It was a waste of time, or it was information that could have been given out a different way. If you're going to have a meeting, it's the same way I feel about going to church with sermons. If you're going to read your sermon, email it to me. I'll send you $3 and we don't have to have a service.
Right.
Okay. So we have to understand how to communicate, when to communicate, and what's the best way to communicate. But you don't know that unless you know your people.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all, I got the book. So I already know the answer to that question. I'm like Jesus. I'm like God. I already know what the answer was before I even asked the question. Where art thou? But this is but this would be helpful. I'm putting it up again. This would also be helpful to the young preacher. The young preacher, you need this because you need to understand how to have clear communication
Yes. And
and not
look at that.
just
Clear. The
emotional.
clear
Clear,
method of communication.
clear method. It's in there. It's
The
on
answer's on
page
the answer's right there under my
right there
finger.
beside it. I synced it with my
When you
own
get
eye.
it, go to page
Page
113 when you get the book.
113 is where.
And then send me a message. There's an email in here in the back for you to connect with me and let me know what you think.
If you go to 107, you'll be able to have some great meetings. I'm throwing it out. If you go to 107,
Oh, yes, sir.
you'll know how
Yes,
to
sir.
do
Yeah, 107 and 108 is where I actually
107.
give 6 steps to conducting effective meetings. And each step has 3 points to it. And it'll help you have effective meetings. I learned a long time ago, I even talk about this when I have leadership classes, is if you're worried about meetings being too long, use that Lee Iacocca method from a long time ago, that
Right.
no chairs. Don't put chairs in there. And all of a sudden, people don't have that much frivolous conversation. All right. Because if they're standing up, they're ready to go. Let people meet hungry.
Wait a minute. What you say? What form of payment again? What you mean, Coleman? The payment to buy the book?
The payment to buy the book is on Amazon, and they will take whatever form you got. MasterCard, Visa, American Express. So it is on Amazon. In case you haven't looked at it yet, it's $23.50 on Amazon, and no shipping for Prime members. And you can get that book really quick. They've been really good about shipping those out fast, and I would say share it with your friends. Get one for your supervisor, and that'd be a good Christmas gift. It's a good time to have this. And I'm not saying this just to sell books. This is really good information. I'm going to sell books whether you buy them or not. So, but I want you to buy the book because it's really good information. And I really put a lot into organizing it in a way that you can understand it and utilize it.
When you go to page 74, that's something that is really, really good too. And I'm just throwing out the page numbers just so you can. I think this is where I'm gonna start appraising books right now, and just making people look at them, look at their own book, and look at their own page. Right, like those elements are crucial when we start talking about vision, because a leader, to me, really does have to have an element of vision.
Yes. Yeah, and what you're referring to in the book is I put in here the elements of vision appraisal, so that you can appraise your vision. I can show you that. Yeah, I think it's that way. There you go.
That's so funny. He talking about,
Yeah,
I'll show you that.
yeah, but it's because you have to evaluate your vision. And I go into some real deep things here because some people have nice thoughts, but they're not real visions. It's not something that's realistic to work towards, because you need to evaluate it to see if that's something for now. Because if you don't evaluate your vision, you'll mess around and open a store in a neighborhood where people don't have money to buy stuff.
Talk, sir, and let's talk about that. Let's sit there, because I think
Mhm.
a lot of families, a lot of churches, a lot of businesses, a lot of people, when they're beginning to have these dreams, this
Yes.
is a crucial element that I think we need to explore, to be able to appraise the successability, and that ain't even a word, but the ability. You
You're a
must.
bishop. It's a word. You said it.
We make up words, but you can have a vision, and then you'll say, oh, the Lord just gave me a vision, or I saw a vision, and that's what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. But you never appraise the vision. Do you have the capability? Bishop Timmons and I are running this word now, do you have the capacity?
Yes.
Is this the time for that particular thing? Just
Yes.
because you saw it doesn't mean it's meant for you to do it now. You have to know when God, when the timing of God, and if you do not appraise that, then you're going to look like a failed leader, if you will,
Yes.
because you did not appraise the vision. I think that's an excellent point. That and I want you to explore that not just with church. I'm talking about with family, with husbands and wives, uh, even kids. They have these pipe dreams. They can see the vision, but they have no appraisal of the vision.
Right. And and the thing is, it's not a bad vision. Your timing may be off. Your
Timing,
location might be off. You need to do an appraisal to and that's what people don't want to do. You just trying to stop my dream. No, I'm trying to get you to make some sense out of this and think about what you're doing.
right?
I mean, really, you want to open a ski resort in Greensboro? All right. Nobody's dampening your dream about having a ski resort, but Greensboro is not the place. Do a vision appraisal. Consider those things. And I even take it deeper here because this is in during your vision appraisal process, you'll also end up doing something called a market analysis to see where you're leading and where you're trying to go. Is that something that's feasible? Is this a good time? Is this the area? Is this necessary right now? Do you have the capacity? And pull all of those things together. But vision appraisal is something a lot of people overlook, and they get disappointed and frustrated because things don't work out. But it was because they didn't do enough homework.
This is good stuff, y'all. Now, Cannon makes an interesting point that I want you to talk about. He wait a minute, he done went and got his Bible. He done picked up. He said Jesus tells his disciples that leaders should not exercise authority over people. Instead, whoever wants to become great must lower himself to be a servant. Leaders realize that serving others is the only way to lead with a pure heart, free of pride and arrogance. What say ye?
Yes. Oh, I say that's what we covered in chapter 2 with the position. Because when you're not prideful, when you're not arrogant, you don't mind getting in there. You don't mind going in the kitchen, getting biscuit dough all over you. Not because you're short-handed today, but because one, you need to show the people that work with you and that are helping you in this vision that you care. And no, go ahead, sir.
I'm being messy right now because tell us the difference between arrogance and confidence.
Oh, that is great. That is great right there because confidence is that assurity. And people understand this. If you are a confident leader, it will be confused with arrogance with people that don't know you.
Talk, sir.
And that's okay. Because if you're not ready to be misunderstood, you're not ready to lead. And so
Wait,
a,
say it
a,
again.
a true leader will be misunderstood at some point, and you can't go back to correct everybody because those that know you or take time to get to know you will know it's not arrogance, it's confident. And sometimes I think some people mistake me for being arrogant, but I'm definitely not arrogant. Before the heart attack, I ate hog maws and pig feet and stuff right out the pickle jar, and and sucked the vinegar off all that stuff. But anyway, it's a big difference, but it's judged by how you lead and how you treat people. Confidence does not allow you to mistreat people, but arrogance does.
Ooh, talk. Say it.
Yes,
Say it with your chest out.
so because you when you're arrogant, you show that you're more important than everybody in your mind. When you're confident, you lead with the consideration of others.
I tried to tell them they be arrogant.
Yes. And this, it's not
I be
just a biblical
confident.
principle. It's for I'm sure everybody on here can think of somebody they have worked with or worked for either now or in their past that were arrogant, that were unapproachable, that were full of themselves.
I
And
know some.
that's definitely not a good leader because guess what? They're not guiding people. people are hostages to their position.
Ooh.
And that's why they don't get the best results. One thing I mentioned here in the book is finding that sweet spot of leadership. And you got to help people find their sweet spot. That's where they're going to flourish, and that's where you're going to flourish. My goal with anyone that I lead, anyone that follows me, anyone on my team, is to help them get to their sweet spot so that they can be very productive and happy and satisfied with the job that they're doing.
Explain a little bit more without telling a whole lot about sweet spot. Let's make this tantalizing.
So, it's just like, of course, that term comes from fruit, because when you
Right.
get fruit and it's a certain place in that watermelon, it's like you want to cut in the middle right here, but because that's the spot that tastes real good, and you can see where all the juices have come together and the flavors have come together. Well, the same thing that leaders are looking for in people that follow. You want to push people to their sweet spot and operate in that. And as a leader, understand this: you're not great at everything that you want to be great at.
That's
So
right.
your sweet spot is your strong point. In dealing with Stephen Williams and a couple of other people that we associate with, we know the sweet spot of each other's.
Right.
I know his best place in a church service. He knows mine. I know his best place in leadership. He knows mine. I ain't got no business trying to flourish in his space when he's around,
Right.
because I'm not going to have the same results that he can have. But that sweet spot is where not only are you going to do well, but you're going to be satisfied. So many times leaders and people that follow are mispositioned, and they're wrongly positioned and put in the wrong place because they are good, but it's not their sweet spot.
It's not that spot.
I can
Sir.
manage,
Yes,
but
sir.
I'm a better leader.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I can organize, but
Right.
that's not my sweet spot.
Right.
And I cannot manage organization. I can organize, but I got to turn it over to somebody else.
Oh, this is good, Cannon. Even though leadership is in you, it has to be birthed out of you. Yeah, that's good.
And that's where the practical guide for developing great leaders. And that's a great point there, Cannon, because it has to be, you need somebody to pull that out of you.
Yes.
And watch this. And sometimes it's not someone pulling it out of you, it's circumstances. Because sometimes you'll face circumstances where you can flourish, but you never knew.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll find yourself in certain situations that call for you. It pulls the leadership out of you. I'm trained in emergency medicine. So guess what? When an emergency happens, somebody passes out, have a seizure, hit the head, blood squirting out of there. People are like, oh Lord, help me. It's like, okay, look, everybody calm down. This is a job for San Juan. Not because I'm Superman. This is my sweet spot. I know this. This is what I'm trained for. This is what I'm made for. I deal with this. And that's what we have to realize as leaders. But guess what? We still need to be developed in those things. So when I see certain situations, I handle it a certain way.
Right. And that's that piece of training. That's that area of training. We got to get out of here. You got one more thing we were supposed to discuss, and that's change. Talk to me about that.
Change. We've been talking about that at church for at least 3 months. It feels like all year. But I mean, specifically talking about it on a weekly basis, going to be talked about it tomorrow night, 6:30, True Salvation, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. We everywhere. Wherever you look, you're going to find us. But change is a big thing for leaders, especially in today's society, because leaders are charged with and expected to bring change.
Yes.
And I talk about the different aspects of change, because change can come for you. You can come for change. Some change happens, but you have to be able to navigate it. Corporations today want people that can deal with change and people that can take charge of change, because it's time to go in a new direction. And there were many failures of change. And that's one of my favorite parts of the book. It's when I deal with, and I'll name some specific companies in here that failed to change. And then I talk about companies that changed well.
Oh, yeah.
And so the ones that failed to change, Some of them don't exist anymore, or if they do exist, they have very little market share when they used to be the leader of the market. So leaders have to be willing to change, able to change, and a key word I like to use is adaptable.
Yes,
Leaders have to have adaptability. You have to be able to adapt to every situation, because I don't care how good you lead, nothing's going to be the same and nothing's going to work out right all the time. You got to adapt to some stuff. When COVID hit the United States had to adapt, as did every other country.
that's right.
And some people weren't ready for that. That leads us into one of the latter chapters of the book that I deal with, crisis, and talk about how to handle crisis and have continuity in the process. Because when change comes, you have to figure out, how do I manage? How do
Yeah,
I survive? But if I'm a leader, I don't want to survive. I want to thrive.
I need
You
to
let the
thrive.
manager survive. We got to go
That's
to the
right.
next level.
Listen, y'all. I hope this has been good. We both putting it up right here. Look, the guiding principles of leadership, introducing the 8 C's of leadership, practical guide of developing great leaders. San Juan C. Timmons. Go get this book. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere, anywhere
Yeah.
you want.
Hey, good Bishop.
Uh-huh.
What have you read the book?
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's not wrinkled in that. I don't. It should be have a crease right here. If it's
That ain't how I do it, brother. I read
Oh,
mine.
okay.
I
Oh, okay.
I don't turn my book and put it on the back like that. I read, look, I don't read none of my books like that. I open them up like this right here
Yeah.
at nighttime, and they sit by the bed, and I go through them. I'm like, that's good right there. I'd be like, very familiar. Wait a minute. And then the books that I do have, I lay them down on my dresser on top of books that I'm reading. So they flatten back out when I finish reading them, sir.
Hey,
See, you done started you teach a whole lesson. You got to remember, I read the book. I did not do a whole series on the book. I ain't even done a series on my own.
yeah, this is actually an author copy. That's why I have a line going across where I did some edits after I received this copy. So, but I'll show y'all this and then let you wonder what it's about. You see that down there?
I got it.
Soda and containers
Uh-huh.
and things. Really good chapter on collaboration. So check that out. How to work with other people, how important it is to connect with a mentor, all those good things to help you develop in your leadership.
Yeah. Well, y'all, he be talking junk, but the reason why I asked those questions, not because I didn't read the book, it's because I already knew what the answers were. These are called leading. I'm a leader. I'm leading questions. Leading. All right. Cannon says that's just like a quarterback in football. You have to adapt when he is used to make the offense work. Listen, you all. I hope you. Say the blue done put on here collaboration. Oh, that's some good stuff.
Yeah,
Look,
it's a big chapter. Good information.
it's a big chapter. Look, there's no way we can get to it all tonight. You have got to go get this book on leadership. It is a powerful read. It'll help you out in your home. It'll help you out in all of your circumstances and situations. It's not just for church, which is what he and I were talking about. It's a process that's across the board that helps. And I've taken some of these principles myself. And if you go to GBC, you probably see it me more now leading. For those who go to GBC, y'all can see that I'm leading, not managing. But anyway, that's a whole nother. So because I read my book, but not only do I want to read the book, and I'm gonna say this: if you don't apply the principles of the stuff that you learn, you got to at least try it. What good is reading a book if you're not going to apply some of the principles? If you're not going to do it, you've wasted your time. And so I promise you, once we get on the phone, some of the stuff I'm telling him that I'm doing, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, You done paid attention to my little book, but I don't need to give him no credit because his head is already big. He already thinks, you know,
Yeah,
he's
it
all
is.
that. And I just don't want to, I don't want to blow it up too much, and let him go through all that. We're trying to help him out. We're trying to keep him humble.
But on that note, I am available to come and do some leadership training, some seminars. I do have some things already scheduled with different companies and individuals and groups to where I'll come and even teach a portion of the book, or just teach or give some instruction on any topic of leadership that helps that company. I've dealt with a company on some change management, on how to change some things in their principle, and that's right, Ken, and that's you're born to lead. This will really help develop you. And
Yep.
so there's information also in the book, I believe somewhere around page 200, maybe 212, I believe it is, that gives you some contact information if you would like to have more information or have me to come out and speak or anything like that. But it's a good time to have this. And I'm saying that it's a good gift, but we're about to end this year and begin another one. And that's when a lot of us are planning and setting vision. And I go through all of that on how to do it and how to make it effective. And so I'd love for you to be equipped for that in this new season.
Thank you so much for joining me behind the veil. Bishop San Juan C. Timmons, man, the book is a powerful move, and you all please go out and get this. It's going to be a blessing to your life, especially for those of you who are getting ready to do vision plans for your family, for your life, for your churches, for your businesses. Make sure you do that. One of the best chapters that I had, which is why I wanted to bring it up, is appraising your vision, because it has to be, even though God said it, is it doable? Is it feasible? And that's one of the things I really took out of the book, and just amongst other things, but that was one of the things that I really enjoyed. And this whole notion of leading and not managing, and allowing people to be able to replace yourself. And so we appreciate him. He can be found on what platforms? Again, yourself. If people want to get in contact with you, where can they find you? Social media.
Or social media, Facebook, YouTube with True Salvation. Facebook is Timmons, SC Timmons, and then SC Timmons Ministries, and then the Salvation Movement, and then of course True Salvation. So we have those platforms. If you need email, ileadwell@yahoo.com. So you can look me up there. And like I said, all that information's in the back of the book. I'd love to hear from you and help you on the journey along the way, because we all learn from each other. So I thank you for allowing me to come on here tonight, good Bishop. And hopefully you've got some information that you can use to help you go to the next level.
It's going to be great. Y'all get it. I've read it, and I'm still reading it. There's some other things I need to apply. I need application to this stuff. He's got the credentials, and I appreciate God using him for this season of leadership. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us. We got to let y'all get out of here. Let's go on. We getting out right here. Thank y'all so much. Look, I'm Stephen Williams. That guy.
I'm San Juan Timmons.
That guy right there is San Juan C. Timmons. Don't forget the C.
San Juan Chevalier Timmons.
And go out and get this book, The Guiding Principles of Leadership, introducing the 8 C's of leadership.
And don't forget the warning. This book will positively affect your leadership vision, action, and communication.
I love it. Join me Saturday. If you don't have anything else to do, Saturday at 6:00 p.m. in Winston-Salem. Look, I'm bringing this concert to Greensboro too eventually. But y'all come out and support. Thank you so much for joining us behind the veil. This book is a good read, and it's helpful in life. That's what Jemiah said. It's a good book. Listen, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. Until our next appointed time, we'll see you. I'm the good bishop, and ain't nobody good but our God. Welcome. Thank you for joining us behind the veil. Bye, y'all. Gotta go.
Bye.